lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm doing something a little differently. I have been sick for the last week, so I haven't really read anything, so I don't have anything to review. And what I have read, I don't feel like it's going to be a very coherent review if I try to do it right now. So, instead, what I've been doing for the last week and a half is sitting on the couch watching television. So I thought I would talk about some of the things that I did watch and what I thought about them. Mainly I'm posting a filler video because I feel like I have to post something. I'm a YouTuber. I need YouTube videos, right? So not my best video. Sorry for my incredibly red face. Maybe I shouldn't have worn a red shirt. Also the white background not helping. I did not think this through, but I'm committed. I'm doing it, so let's... Hi. Hi, guys. So mostly I've just been binge watching television shows, and it's great to just be able to watch one episode after another and have something to watch for like several hours, because when you've got nothing to do for a week but literally just watch television, you need a lot. So I got through all of a series of unfortunate events on Netflix, all 3 seasons. I was actually watching this before I got sick, so maybe I only got through like a season and a half while technically sick. But it definitely helped me finish it. I had already seen seasons 1 and 2, but season 3 just came out this month, so finally watching all of it, getting through the entire series of unfortunate events. I have read all the books before, so I basically had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen, but the last few I think I had only read the one time when I read them through once, so... there were still plenty of surprises at the end of season 3, which I appreciated, especially since I was kind of in a fog while watching it, so I wasn't quite remembering everything, so there were plenty of moments that I was shocked by, and I think being sick helped me in this case, because it was a familiar enough story, and I knew the characters, and I'd already seen the first 2 seasons, so I was comfortable with the storytelling format of the show. So it was comforting, like watching a good favorite movie that you've seen before, but also the new elements of an entirely another series, getting through the last books that I didn't quite remember all the way through. So that was a good mix. I highly recommend a series of unfortunate events, and even if you're sick, you can still totally follow it, which was great. I also got through Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, or Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. This is a tidying up show, a show about cleaning and going through your stuff and just purging things that don't make you happy anymore. And I really liked watching this while I was sick because I had an automatic excuse about why I couldn't go through all my stuff. Like, I can't actually go through everything in my closet because I can't get off the couch right now. So, no pressure on me to go through everything I own. But it did help watching other people. It made me feel not as gross and disgusting. To have all this cleaning, very therapeutic. I love cleaning, especially getting to see like the end results and how everything is afterwards. I haven't read her books, and I kind of feel like I don't need to read them at this point either, having watched the show. I'm not one for like getting nitty-picky into like actual cleaning stuff and doing everything perfectly. It's kind of just, you gotta do what works for you, and I totally get the idea of getting rid of stuff that isn't making you happy or isn't serving a purpose anymore. It's just cluttering and making things more complicated. And I feel like if I dug into the books and actually got into her method more, it would just like bog me down more, and would also just, it would be extraneous stuff that would also just be bogging down my thought process that wouldn't be necessary either. So I'm not planning on reading Marie Kondo's books. One of the other things I watched was My Little Pony. I had actually already watched all of the show. I've been working on that since July. I got through all 8 seasons of the television show, plus Equestria Girls, plus the movie, watched all the ponies, watched the shorts. So I went back and just rewatched some of my favorite episodes, and there's actually this chunk in the middle of season 7, which has like my absolute favorites in there. There's episode 12 with Discordant Harmony, with Discord in there, and he's this agent of chaos, god of chaos, whatever, and getting to see his realm and what an absolute realm of just where anything can happen, just anything that pops into your mind. I loved getting to see Discord's home and getting to see him and Fluttershy. Like, their friendship is awesome. because she's so shy and timid, but she's also like completely accepting of him, that he's this crazy person, and it's awesome. Also, The Perfect Pair came after that, which has Applejack's family and going back and finding out about her parents, which is something we hadn't seen before. Like, it takes till season 7 before we finally meet her parents and find out what happened to them. Sort of. I mean, we don't actually find out what happened to them, like why they're not in the picture anymore, but we get to find out about how they met and their romance, and it's totally adorable and totally sweet and romantic, and I love that episode. And then Fame and Misfortune, where they published their Princess Diary. So this is the book that they've been recording all the lessons and all their adventures and everything they've learned together. All the main 6 have been learning all kinds of friendship lessons. And then they publish it, and everybody, like, they're celebrities, and they get everybody, every pony in Equestria has their opinions about the main 6 and their celebrity status, especially since Twilight's not princess. And really just what fame does and how people view it, and really the community also around My Little Pony, and what the fangirls and fan guys, the bronies, think of the show, what they've been saying, and bringing that into the show. But my favorite part is the song Flawless, which is like my favorite song in the entire series, which is really just about owning who you are and how you don't have to be perfect as long as you're trying to be better, and as long as you have people around you that appreciate you for who you are. And it's amazing. I love Flawless. So, and then the triple threat, where we have Spike forgetting and inviting both the head of the changelings and the head of the dragons both to Ponyville on the same day, and trying to deal with the diplomatic potential problem that could blow up when these two very different sets of creatures meet for the first time. And also, he doesn't want to snub them and make them feel like they're not important, because he literally forgot they were coming both on the same day. So that's a mess, but also I love them both. I love both the dragons and the changelings, and so like I rewatched my favorites is what I'm saying. It was great. I love Discord. He's my favorite. Okay. Just hitting the best of the best, guys. I watched the Orville. I rewatched season 1, which I had already seen last year, and then finally watched season 2, because I've been meaning to rewatch season 1 before I finally started season 2, which just started the end of December, beginning of January. So there's like 4 episodes in right now. I love this show so much. If you guys have not been watching it and you love sci-fi, totally watch the Orville. It is kind of like Star Trek. It is set in the future. We have space exploration and captain and the ship, which is called the Orville. That's the name of the show. And just seeing all these aliens and trying to deal with relationships and life and exploring what's out there. And there's plenty of sci-fi, but also a lot of it revolves around actual relationship problems and things that we would also have issues with. It's also more of an adult show than, say, Star Trek, so you can deal with things like drugs and sex and alcohol and porn addiction. So bringing in more adult topics into it, but also, like, it's great. I love it. The sense of humor on it. It's by Seth MacFarlane, the guy who did Family Guy, so totally it's funny, but it feels like what I want Star Trek to be, unlike the newer stuff, which has really just been going back. Like, I have a problem with the newer Star Trek being stuff that happened in the earlier timelines before the original series, and I feel like that isn't working. Like, I want Star Trek to be about what's new and what's on the cusp and what's out there and what else can we do and pushing the boundaries. And if you're always stuck with you have to make the timelines line up and you can't ever go beyond the original series, then it feels like there's so much you can't do. And the Orville, being a completely new show, doesn't have that problem. It can really go out there. We can really have new aliens. We can go explore spaces we've never been before. Because it's a new show, but also because it's not being tied down by that stupid timeline problem. So I love it. It's filling the gap that I need in my life. Like, I literally have been grown up watching Star Trek since I was a child. So to not actually be watching Star Trek now feels so weird, and to not be excited about new Star Trek also is just such a disappointment. So, okay. I tried watching the new Rocky and Bullwinkle on Amazon Prime, which has Tara Strong being Rocky. It kind of, it's like they loosely took the concept of Rocky and Bullwinkle and what made it unique and interesting, but then they just handed it over to Cartoon Network, and it doesn't work. And it especially didn't work when I was sick, because it's got all these, like, flashing, faster paced to it images, like the flashing images that are really bright and, like, quick, and the music that's really loud and just annoying. So I'm probably going to try to watch this again later when I'm, like, fully cognizant again, but trying to watch this while I was sick did not work at all. I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle when I was a kid, watching the original stuff, but the new one just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like Rocky and Bullwinkle, and it definitely was just irritating when I was sick. It was just like, I got through 2 episodes and was done. So not a fan of that one. I watched Sex Education on Netflix. This is a British sitcom. It focuses around this small town British high school, and they're sixth form, so they're like 16-year-olds, and their sex problems. So the main character, Otis, both his parents are sex therapists, and they're divorced, and he's living with just his mom, but he's like picked up all these ideas about sex therapy. And when one of his classmates has a problem, Otis like gives him advice, and one of the girls in the class is like, hey, you're really good at that, we could charge people money and, you know, make some dough off of this. So she convinces him to set up a sex clinic, and it's all like under the table. We don't need the school administration finding out about it. And it's interesting because there's like this forbidden aspect to it and trying to keep it a secret, but also the advice he's giving is mostly pretty good and well thought out, and he does his research. But at the same time, Otis is this kid who hasn't had sex himself. He's having problems with masturbating, and he's got his own issues. So it's really fascinating and interesting and quirky, and I liked it. Okay, I also rewatched North and South, which is based off the novel by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've actually read and reviewed that book, so I'll post a link to that in the description below if you want book-related content. But basically, North and South is a period drama set in the 1800s when England is just starting to become industrialized. And so we have this family from the South. The father used to be a preacher, and he leaves the church for religious convictions and moves his family to a northern industrial town. And they all have to deal with the differences. It's a complete and total culture clash between being from the South and being in a relatively wealthy family to being in a comfortable family to being in the North, being super poor, barely getting by. And there's complete differences of opinions and how you do things and pacing and stuff when you're in a city like that and where everybody can make money. There's also issues with like all the people working in mills trying to organize into unions so they can get better pay, but also we're following the daughter of the preacher, and we're following one of the mill owners, and he also has his own opinions about, like, it's not really feasible, I can't really just give in to you guys, there really isn't money, I have to think about the future, we're doing well right now, but anything could change in a moment's notice. So I love the clash, I love the romance between the two of them. I love North and South. I watched it so many times. It's definitely one of my favorite miniseries. It's so romantic, but also there's lots of other interesting things happening in it in the background. It's not just the love story between the two of them, it's also about culture and about industrialization and work. Alright, moving on from television shows, I actually did watch a few movies, although most of what I watched was TV still. So I watched Dumpling on Netflix, which is based off of a book whose author I can't remember. I haven't read that book. But it is about this overweight girl, and her mother is a former beauty queen and runs a beauty pageant in Texas now. And so the daughter tries out and joins the beauty pageant to make a point to her mom about how she doesn't pay attention to her and about beauty standards. And a group of her classmates and friends also join who would typically not be normal beauty pageant contestants. So there's another girl who's also overweight and is super excited because she's always wanted to do a beauty pageant, but she's always been too scared because of how she looks and doesn't think she could win. And so she finally has the courage now. The best friend is maybe typically what you would expect a beauty pageant contestant to look like, but like she doesn't really into it, but then she does start getting into it, and she and Dumpling have a fight because like they're there to protest the beauty pageant. And then there's this one girl that's completely out there, completely different, kind of emo, not at all beauty pageant stuff, and how she owns it and does it herself. So I loved it. It was funny. It had tons of great fashion and makeup. There's also, they seek guidance from these drag queens. I loved it. It was great. So I'm probably going to read the book eventually, but I'm not like rushing out to read the book either now that I've seen the movie, but I did appreciate the movie so much. I also watched Little Italy, which is this romantic comedy. It is set in this Little Italy section of the city, where we have these two families that used to make like the perfect pizza together. One had the perfect pizza crust and the other one had the perfect pizza sauce, and then they have this fight and they break off and start their own rival pizza companies. And they have, the one family has a son, the other one has a daughter. They grew up together as kids, but now they've kind of grown apart as the families have grown apart. And the daughter's gone off to London to actually study like culinary skills, and then she has to come back for get her visa because she's in a different country. But she comes back. She's got to stay long enough to get the visa processed. And she reconnects with her childhood best friend, and they have a romance. It's totally sweet. I love the food aspect of it. It's adorable and quirky and fun and just a perfect rom-com. So I loved it. Loved it. I also watched It Takes Two, which is a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie from the 90s. I had seen it a while ago, like when it first came out, but I hadn't seen it like in a decade or so. So getting to watch it again. It's about two girls who look exactly alike but aren't related. The one girl is an orphan, and she's in the system, and she's got this one social worker who absolutely adores her, but the system won't let her adopt because she's a single mother. She doesn't make that much, doesn't think she's very stable from a financial standpoint. And then we have the daughter of the rich millionaire, and they both end up in the same lake during the summer. So there's the camp that the millionaire, like his wife set up before she died, and he has never gone back, but like they have this house. So he and his family are there. He's also getting engaged and is remarrying for the first time, and the daughter is not cool with the new stepmother, and she runs away. The girl goes on a dare to like hit the doorbell, play ding dong ditch with a house that's supposedly haunted. They think the mansion is haunted. So the girls end up switching places, like people just mistake them for the other person, and it takes them a while to figure it out. But when they do, they decide to stick with it to see if they can get the dad and the social worker to like hook up, because they would be an adorable couple together. Totally quirky, fun, a little bit romantic. I loved it. I loved it when I was younger and watched it first when I was a kid, and it still holds up now. It's definitely not like high entertainment, but it's fun, and that's exactly what I needed right now. So yes, I loved It Takes Two. I watched a Christmas movie called Make the Yuletide Gay, which is an LGBT movie. It has a gay couple who are college kids, and the one is not out at home, so he goes home for Christmas and he plays it straight. His family thinks he's straight. His mom's trying to set him up with the girl next door. It's a bit awkward, but he doesn't feel comfortable telling them. Like he's thinking about it. And when his boyfriend comes to visit him, because his family has all of a sudden decided they're not coming home for Christmas, he's like, I don't want to be alone, so he goes to his boyfriend's house. And because the boyfriend's not out, they have to play it as if they're just friends, and it's adorable and sweet, and it's totally holiday-ish, and it was adorable. It's a fun, romantic holiday movie with some great LGBT themes, and I super appreciated it. So I highly recommend Make Yuletide Gay. If you guys haven't seen it yet. So I also watched Lovestruck the musical. I had already seen this before, but it had been so long and also foggy brainness that I actually kind of forgot what it was about, just that I really loved it, so rewatching it again was fun. It has a lot of pop songs in it, so like modern hits and also kind of classics, but nothing like original to this movie. But it was still fun, lots of dancing, and the plot of this one focuses around a mother and daughter. The daughter is supposed to be headlining this ballet show, but she's getting married and is thinking that maybe she doesn't actually want to do it and maybe she's not going to come back to the ballet. And the mom, it used to be this prima dancer. She has all this hopes that her daughter will take her place and do what she couldn't do, what she was prevented from doing when she got injured with a bad knee. The mother is not feeling good. She takes this random potion that they find in the theater, because that's great policy. Anyway, when she takes the potion, it de-ages her and she becomes a young 20-something again. And she sneaks into her daughter's wedding pretending to be some forgotten cousin or something that the mother invited. And the daughter and the mother become close. The daughter's dealing with not feeling like the potential. So the groom is having trouble articulating how he feels. Like, he's proposed and everything, but they're trying to write their own vows and he's struggling with it. And the daughter's feeling like maybe he doesn't really love her. Is this really worth it? And then we also have like the bride's father coming, and he recognizes the mother, be like, I know you. You're not a cousin. You're actually what happened here. You're actually the mother, and you know what happened. It's totally quirky and fun and just great musical. So this one just gets swept away in the pageantry and the awesome dancing and the music. So I loved it. It was sweet. And a little bit flashy, but totally fun. And then the last thing I remember watching, I probably watched more, but I couldn't remember what they were now that I'm filming. But the last one was I tried to watch Life Itself, which is kind of more of an artsy movie, and that was a mistake. It has Oscar Isaac in it. He's in the new Star Wars movies, and it has Olivia Wilde, so like I love both as actors, and I'm like, let's try it. It's about this family. So we have the two people who meet. It's told from the husband's perspective, at least the first part is, as he's going to therapy and why their relationship didn't work. Then we move into their daughter, and I got like halfway through this movie. I don't know what happens in the next act because I stopped watching because I was really just not enjoying it. It was too cerebral, too many unreliable narrators. Like, it wasn't even just one unreliable narrator. There were like, first there's the father, then the daughter's being an unreliable narrator when she does her part, and so I was just like, I'm done. Hopefully I'll rewatch it later and like enjoy it more, but like right now it was not the time to be trying to watch this movie at all. So don't recommend trying to watch that when you're sick and not fully with it. Not a good idea. So that's what I've been up to. Let me know in the comments below if you've watched any of these and what you've thought of them. Normally I watch way more Disney movies when I'm sick, so I'm really surprised I didn't watch any. I mean, I watched Lovestruck the musical, kind of Disney-ish, and I guess It Takes Two was also kind of a childish thing. I also watched My Little Pony, so it wasn't completely in the grown-up zone, but like normally I regress back to my favorite childhood movies, and that didn't happen this time. It just wasn't what I was feeling, so I did think about it a few times. I'm like, maybe I should watch The Lion King or something, but decided not to. Yeah. So, what do you guys normally watch when you're sick? Have you seen any of these? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you think being sick made them better or worse? Should I give Life Itself a try again later? Maybe it'll be better later. I don't know. So there were my ramblings on what I've been watching. Peace out. I love you guys. Hopefully I'll be back next week or later this week with more coherent book-related videos. I love talking about books. It gets me that I didn't feel like reading. That's the worst part is that I did not feel like reading. I thought about picking up a book. I even had comics at the library and just was not feeling them. So now that I'm better, I'm starting to read, and now I've got 3 books that I'm currently reading on Goodreads that I'm trying to finish, and then more books at the library that I need to get through because I've missed 2 weeks of reading now. So I'm behind. I feel very behind is the problem. I already had this big stack of books that I already owned that I need to read, and then there's just, it made it worse. I have so much pressure on myself to just read, and book 2 doesn't necessarily help with that. It kind of just adds more pressure, because then I can look at my YouTube page and see, oh, I haven't posted anything in 2 weeks. Oops. Yeah. Anyway, peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.